This one is for all of my black sheep out there. Those that bit their tongue, not in a good way. Well, obviously never in a good way. Whether you bite your tongue because you're eating or you bite your tongue because you're trying to keep the silence, keep the peace, it's never in a good way. On this journey of healing of mine, what I've noticed is that there's a very strong pull that comes with actually doing what the fuck you want to do for yourself, right? And when I say that, the pull actually comes from other people because they're trying to pull you back into the person that you were before, right? If you're a codependent, people don't want you to stop being a codependent. Because if you stop, it means that they can't take advantage of you anymore. Right? And so, along my journey of healing, some of the most fascinating experiences that I've had are when I start to set boundaries. And people don't like that. Chris, where did you go? What are you doing? Why are you doing that? You shouldn't do that. Go back to the old Chris. We don't like what you're doing there. That's not cool. No. You're supposed to be part of this. You can't just walk out like that. That's unacceptable. Nope. No. Oh, man. I can imagine that other black sheep of the family that got tired of biting their fucking tongue, especially when they eat and they're trying to enjoy their food. They probably know what I'm talking about. They probably know how this feels. When you've played a role for so long, and I use the word family and familiar because they're basically one and the same, right? Everything that a person is familiar with is usually derived from the family of origin. And if you weren't raised in a family of origin that is like, actual like biological blood and all that, you attach on to somebody or people, right? That's just the way that it works. And so with that, you learn a very specific way of being as an individual, or even not an individual, because the system that you come from really doesn't allow you to be an individual and get that healthy individuation and differentiation along with healthy boundaries. So, when you finally step outside of the familiar family role, right, there's going to be a lot of backlash. Yeah, people don't like that. People don't like that. When they're used to you being a certain way, they're not going to like you being a different way. Friends, right? Oh man, how many times do you feel just fucking dry with the friends in your life, right? You're growing and they're stagnant, right? That ain't fun. Nobody likes that. I don't, right? I've been there though. I know what it's like to let go of people because it's like, all right, yeah, you're not. And by the way, I thank my about 10 years ago Chris, younger self, for the people that he let go of, for the decisions that he made, right? And it just gets better when you do that. Now, let me make this very clear. When you finally step out of the role that you've been playing for a long time, I mean, I already said this, but I'll say it again. The people that are used to you playing that role are not gonna like it. Again, I've had a fuck ton of pushback from people. Hey, what the hell is Chris doing? Why is he doing that? Chris can't do that. No. Get back into this role. I need you to feel responsible for my emotions. Get right. Come on. Nope. And then you set the boundary, you cut that shit off, and then people are like, what are you doing? People get very comfortable with you playing a very specific role in their life. And when you decide to clock out of your fucking 9 to 5 that you fucking hate they're like, what the fuck are you doing? Get back here. Right? And it's not just with family of origin. I was trying to think of initials for that, but whatever. Family of origin. Foo! It's kind of like Foo Fighters. Fighting the Foo. Fighting the family of origin. Take that, take that, take that. Setting boundaries. Ha! Pew, 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 pew. I like that. That's funny as hell. No, but when you finally step out of the role with the Foo, and then you start fighting the Foo, that's funny as hell. And you start doing better for yourself, right? You're like, I'm not gonna not have boundaries because not having boundaries fucking sucks. And whenever I don't have boundaries, you motherfuckers just walk all over me, and fuck that. And no, I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna have boundaries, and I'll take the fucking pushback. And you guys are gonna try to take me and squeeze me back into this really fucking comfortable, familiar role that you have for me. And I'm gonna set even more fucking boundaries. And then those boundaries, they were permeable. Now they're rigid. Get the fuck out. Oh man, when you finally step out of the familiar role that you've been playing for, decades of your life, yeah, it's gonna be different because the familiar is actually going to pull you back, and there are things about the familiar that are kind of seductive. Likely, enmeshment, right? Enmeshment was the way in which a person who participated in that kind of role learned intimacy. We're not going to call it intimacy, though. That's pseudo-intimacy, right? So, if their shit is not everyone else's shit in this new role that they're trying to play, they're going to be like, what the fuck, right? And then they're going to be like, let's just default back to the familiar. See, this is why it's really easy to get caught back into the same pattern, the same role of familiarity from the family of origin, the Foo. Because people that aren't familiar with boundaries, people that aren't vibing with boundaries, right? They're going to see things like enmeshment, which is pseudo-intimacy, because I'm going to know fucking everything about a person without boundaries, without healthy boundaries, and that's going to feel very safe for them. And so when they try to connect with people that actually do have healthy boundaries, they might actually initially feel shut off first, right? Like, here's a fucking wall, right? It's gonna have to take you some time to get to know me, right? For somebody who's familiar with enmeshment, that feels fucking weird, right? People that are enmeshed, shit. Not even just people that are enmeshed. Well, usually for people that are enmeshed, but people that don't know healthy boundaries, man, if they meet a stranger, they could tell that stranger their entire fucking life story in 5 whole fucking minutes, which is no time, right? But there are things to look at when you finally step outside of the familiar role, right? First and foremost, you're gonna get serious fucking pushback from the people who have been very used to and comfortable with you playing that role, right? Maybe you were the emotional container for somebody in your family, right? Maybe you were the peacekeeper, right? Maybe you involved yourself in drama. No thank you to any of those, right? Now, stepping out of that, it might be a little bit different, because if you're trying to seek people that have healthy boundaries, you might actually feel like this massive fucking void of space in between you and them. And it might be uncomfortable because it's like, oh, okay, oceans between us, right? That's kind of different, and that kind of like, really fucks up the potential of you moving forward. So in my own experiences, what I've found is, and I have no guilt, no shame. I've been called selfish. I've been called everything underneath this fucking bright-ass sun. It's behind me. In my own experiences, though, I'm kind of right now in a space where it's like I'm learning to put my feet back on the fucking ground. It's like, okay, where do I step? Oh, shit, that's a landmine. We've seen that before. I'm gonna fucking avoid that. Let's go over this way. Oh, cool. Healthy boundaries. Healthy person. Wonderful, right? Just finding a balance. But stepping out of the role is the most important thing. Because, one, you're gonna get pushed back, but you can also be like, all right, whatever. And then you can just start looking for different things, right? And that's the cool thing about it. The black sheep, I guess you could just say black sheep, that role, knowing that you're fucking different, knowing that you want to break generational trauma, generational bullshit, right? Knowing that you just want to step outside and be like, ah, yes. I thought about Jim Carrey when I did that. I was like, alrighty then. You know? He's one of my favorite actors, by the way. But just knowing that you can do better for yourself. Like, that's what this is all about. Knowing that you don't deserve to be sucked into this fucked up system that keeps you trapped inside of this idea, this limiting idea of who you are, and it's not you, right? There's this entire world out there of fucking awesome people that have healthy boundaries. And you don't have to play this same familiar and comfortable role that you've been playing since the Foo game, the Family of Origin, right? Foo Fighters. We are the Foo Fighters! Just kidding. I love that. That's hilarious. But you don't have to keep going that way. You can choose to actually do better for yourself, right? And say, no, I'm not going to do that, family. I'm not going to sit down and be your emotional container and involve myself in drama and gossip. Why the fuck would I do that? Why would I give myself, the hormones of stress, right? The adrenaline, the cortisol. Why would I involve myself in stuff that I really don't want to? Because once you wake up from all of this stuff and realize that you've been involving yourself in stuff that you don't want to, and you've been giving yourself unnecessary anxiety and depression your entire fucking life, you kind of want to stop and step the fuck out of that. Because life is too fucking cool for that bullshit.